Hello, and thanks for watching another episode of ARFCOM News, your twice-weekly dose of the finest 2A propaganda. You may not like it, but this is what peak performance looks like. You look at a man put together like this and you instantly know he's wired tight. You can sleep peacefully in your bed tonight because you know he is standing ready. Some might criticize his apparent lack of physical fitness or the OC canister sticking halfway out of a pouch with its cap totally unprotected. Others might criticize the cheap Turkish shotgun that looks like it fell in a dumpster full of Chinesium Amazon accessories. Most particularly that sympathetic reflex-inducing light, which is virtually guaranteed to cause an ND. At least his battle buddy is wearing a plate, and it isn't even duct taped to his back. But I look at this operator and know this isn't the look of total incompetence, it's the look of a hardened warrior and master of disguise. But it would be impossible for us to produce quality 2A propaganda without sponsors. So before I tell you why this Super Trooper is in the news, let's pay some bills. Today's video is sponsored by TNVC.com, your source for good old-fashioned all-American night vision, just like Mom used to make.
If you like seeing stuff more than not seeing stuff, take a look at our sponsor, TNVC.com, your source for quality night vision gear to make you the bump in the night.
Time magazine published an article sniveling about private businesses hiring private security and chose this guy for their poster child, claiming he's carrying an AR-15 and looks like a soldier. I mean, I guess soldiers who are simply waiting around for their medical discharge to process are still technically soldiers, but only the kind of person who confuses a cheap Turkish shotgun for America's rifle could possibly think this is what a soldier is supposed to look like. As for the article, it's low on facts and repeated over and over that a handful of people feel uneasy at the sight of a weapon. Then the author, who thankfully sticks to printed journalism, apparently thought even that was too objective and went off on a tangent about an imaginary hypothetical situation where an armed guard fires indiscriminately into a crowd of people at a food court over a fist fight, because I guess he could. I always love it when some idiot just starts making stuff up out of whole cloth and calling it journalism. Look, sweetie, I'm pretty sure even the absolute unit you chose for your story would probably have the sense not to mag dump buckshot into a crowd. But had he been there, it would be a lot less likely for the fight to start in the first place, and dumb gear choices or not, he does have a less lethal option available. Surfside police say a Florida man cranked off a bathroom pop at a Flanagan's Bar and Grill. Security camera shows him leaving the bathroom with his son, who was covering his ears like he just heard something loud, then he took off. Cops figured out who he was from the credit card receipt, but he turned himself in later anyway. Said he carries a 380 Taurus in his waistband, because of course he would. He also told them he took the class, but never got around to applying for the permit, and that he believed it was legal to carry anyway, because Florida just recently passed their permitless carry bill. Now, if he wasn't out there blasting holes in bathroom walls, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say he probably wouldn't have been charged. What do you think? Does this guy deserve jail time or a throat punch? Would any reasonable cop charge him if he wasn't up to no good, knowing that the law just passed and hadn't gone into effect yet? So some nutter walked up to Buckingham Palace, screamed he wanted to kill the king, and started chucking shotgun shells over the fence. Now, if he had been arrested for speaking without a permit, saying hurtful things about the crown, and for carrying a permit without a license, I doubt any of you would be shocked, but the actual charge was possession of an offensive weapon. And in typically British abundance of caution, they detonated the shotgun shells in place.
That it is good evening for me for the time being, as I think that was probably a controlled explosion in the background. That's what it sounded like to me.
I'm certain that was safer than that just, picking him up and maybe putting him in a bucket of water. But if you didn't spend the taxpayers' money, they wouldn't want to give you more. Look, I know I spend a lot of time reporting on the ATF, but that's just because they won't stop stepping in it. This time, they're in trouble with the U.S. Office of Special Counsel for Corruption because over a 5-year period, they intentionally overpaid at least $20 million to over 100 employees by falsely classifying them as law enforcement positions. The actual amount they defrauded taxpayers out of is, of course, much higher because it's not like they were only doing this during that period the office was investigating. The Office of Special Counsel says the practice was commonplace for years prior to the investigation period. Naturally, they reported the to the ATF, and the ATF's response is more or less, nuh-uh. They deflected to an ongoing audit by the Office of Personnel Management and disputed that some of the positions were even falsely categorized in the first place. So, what has happened? Did anyone get fired? Have they even corrected the problem?
So we just went ahead and fixed the glitch.
Great. So, Milton has been let go.
Well, just a second there, Professor. We fixed the glitch.
Well, the OPM took away the ATF's job classification privileges. 58 of the cheaters are still working the same job, though. 36 have been reassigned, and 14 have retired. Now, what I want to know is whether they're still drawing a pension they don't deserve. I believe at the bare minimum, every single one of those employees and the responsible leaders should be immediately fired and all their benefits severed. They knowingly defrauded the American people and violated their position of trust. Whether criminal charges are warranted or not is also worth considering. But the really unfortunate thing here is not one single person will ever really be held accountable. Most especially the people responsible. The very most we can realistically hope for here is they cheat a little bit less than they were before. What do you think? Is there really any recourse for the taxpayers here? And now, for your moment of Zen. Hey friends, do you like pews and other pew-related things? Do you want to help us keep delivering you pure, uncut American pew propaganda at the low, low price of free fitting? We literally couldn't pay the bills without our sponsors. So, do us a solid and get yourself something nice from them. You deserve it. I love you.